Yo, what is going on, OMI homies and OMET? Welcome to the stream. Today, we have a special guest joining us here in the green room. You may know him as Dino, the last dinosaur. No, I'm kidding. We have Dino in the stream, so let's go ahead and give him an introduction. And we all know him from the community, but Dino, my man, could you give yourself a quick introduction, who you are, what you're about, and let me cut the music just down a little bit so everybody can hear you.
Yo, what's up, man? How you doing, dude? It's fun to hang out. It's fun to meet you and like chill. And yeah, dude. Yeah, in the VeVe NFT community, love chatting, having a blast. You know, I started my YouTube. I love the VeVe fam. Obviously, main probably in VeVe, but love other projects, talking whatever. So it's a blast to chat with you, man, and meet you. I know you're heavy into Illuvium too and other projects, which I love. So it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. So I've been watching your videos and seeing you blowing up a little bit here in the VeVe community. So it's exciting to have you on, man. And I see you have that Star Wars comic behind you, man. When did you pick that up? Just out of curiosity.
I picked it up actually after the NFT dropped on VeVe, right? So I personally, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I always have been. And so, I mean, that's one of a huge reason why I love VeVe, right? I can collect the thing, like I get to collect Star Wars, which I understand Star Wars people, I think more than I understand another group of, Tokidoki people, Unicorno people. So I get it, and so for me, I really liked the NFT. I wanted to match it to a physical. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to lose like money on it. I got a decent deal. I picked up, it's a 6.5. So it's not like anything amazing. Picked it up for like $180 and I love it because it just matches my NFT. So
Yeah, and 6'5", man, that's still pretty good in terms of like the history behind it, in my opinion. Like I'm a big Star Wars fan. I assume you are too. Is that
yeah.
correct? Yeah, I
Oh
see
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
got the Phantom Menace poster behind you.
Controversial, right? To like the Phantom Menace for sure.
Dude, I freaking love the Phantom Menace. Anything with
That's what
Darth,
I'm saying, dude.
like for me, like even Anakin, like I think people like really I don't know, they misunderstood Anakin, whose character was, and they didn't understand the internal conflict he was having, like during the whole sequels as well. They were just like, oh, it's the acting. But I'm like, no, you gotta realize like he was having this internal like battle in between. That's why he sounded kind of like I don't know the way he did. But anyways, that's a whole nother rant and a whole nother story. Do you have what I'm curious though, what kind of NFTs do you have on VeVe? Do you have a lot of Star Wars NFTs, your gold moments or
I'm a serial flipper. You know what I mean? I love. I think what I tend to do is I tend to buy things I understand or I'm trying to understand.
Mhm.
And typically, the high value items are the ones that I like. It kind of how it panned out. So I really love Star Wars, so I did go heavy, but I end up flipping out of it when I'm in profit or when I feel like it could dump. So I actually don't have a ton right now. I do have a lot of the comic books still because their value is kind of interesting right now. But I only have one common Vader. I sold all my ultra rares. I don't have any golden moments right now. I sold all those. But I do love those pieces. I do believe in all of them long term. But right now, currently, oh, you want to say night night? I love you. Bye bye.
It happens to me all the time, man. And like,
Yeah,
I would not be surprised if mine just walked in right now. So,
really.
yeah, I mean, all my original streams, if you go back, I think like half of them have my daughter just walking in my office while I'm like doing a drop stream back in the day or whatever.
Yeah, I always tell her, I just always let her come say goodnight. You know what I mean? And so she's going to nap right now. So that's when I start streaming. Um, but yeah, dude, now I love Star Wars stuff. Like I have a ton of the comic books. Right now, I'm pretty heavy in VeVe in the comic books. I tend to stack uncommons. Just for me, it's like the kind of like the holy like trifecta or four, double MCP points. It's stackable. The same cover as the IRL. And 4 times as scarce generally. So for me, that's kind of like the best bang for my buck when it comes to like buying good comics. So
Mhm.
I kind of have a lot of money there, but I also have a lot of gems. I'm kind of waiting for a bottom, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. So, do you think with that transition right there, do you think that we are still gonna be like bottoming out even more than we are, or than like more than what's happening now? Do you think we'll go down a little bit lower in the VV market?
Yeah, that's the question of the hour. I mean, for sure, right? If I knew, I would know exactly when. I would say this. this is kind of where I've been at in the past week. And, VV market changes day to day, right? NFTs are crazy, right? And just even OpenSea, right? All NFTs change. Timelines in NFTs are crazy, right? 6 months feels like 5 years. It's pretty, you're like, I'm long term. I've been in it 6 months, Um, I think that we definitely have potential to fall. But I will say this, and this is kind of where I'm kind of seeing an adaptation of my strategy is I feel like the bigger you are, the harder you can fall right now, and I love Walt. I don't own a Walt. I love him. He's 7K, right?
Hmm.
Now, $7,000 is a lot of money, right? $7,000 could buy you a car. $7,000 could buy you. So I feel like not because of his lack of value, but because of his high price point, he has room to move down. Whereas an NFT that's like a $20 for a Grail comic, an uncommon, like how much further can that fall? Like, is it going to go to 15? Maybe. Is it going to go to 10? Probably not. Right. But, it's also, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I
Hmm.
just feel like because of the market, the way it is, because of cash out, like who is going to take their, whatever, Werewolf by Night uncommon that's $15, right? Decent comic. You can't even cash that out. But if you have a Walt, you'd have to cash out like 1,000 Werewolf by Nights. If you have a Walt, you could cash that out for $7,000. You get 6,000 USD in your bank.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's the question, like you're saying, is like how far can it realistically go? And it's all kind of relative as like who you are, how many gems you have anyways. It's like it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter if you don't have that many gems. So it might be more interesting for some to stack some comic titles, for instance, or whatever the case may be. Even some of the season one stuff is kind of really low. So it all just depends on what you are. So what about the OMI token? Is it? I know I kind of thumbnailed this bad boy up this whole interview, but it was really just to bring in viewers to the stream. But I am curious though. What's your thoughts on the OMI token? Do you think it's going to go a little bit lower? Do you think it's going to go to 000 as we've seen Hello K and some of the other, I guess content creators kind of mentioned before? What's your thoughts on that? Do you think we're going to go lower there, or I don't know if you even pay attention to the OMI token too much? What's your thoughts on the whole OMI token side?
Yeah, I do pay attention. I mean, I have all my OMI in my MetaMask right now. I mean, I'm not quite at ledger level, but it's in my own private key, right? I want to be in control of it. I don't want it on an exchange right now where they're crashing left and right. You never know what exchange is next. Yeah, I DCA'd a little bit at 0011, so closer to the bottom, but I also bought a crap ton way too high. I think I'm overall bullish on it just because of how the token works. To me, the token's a little bit different though because it's a cryptocurrency. So I feel like it is going to track way closer to Bitcoin than people want to admit. And a lot of people are calling for lower Bitcoins and lower ETH price. And so OMI is not. I don't feel like it's going to completely trade separate from that. Like the markets all trade together. I mean, that's how stocks work too. It doesn't matter how great of a stock you have. If the S&P is down 20%, your stock is going to be down 30. And so to me, I think we might have opportunities to pick it up cheaper, and that's maybe we're all load heavier. But I always say, like, I don't really ever give advice, but what I will say is I can tell you what I'm doing. I DCA'd a little bit a couple weeks ago. I DCA'd like a month before that, and now I'm kind of waiting, right? So that's kind of where I'm at. I wanted to get some of the bag, but I'm not willing to like load right now.
Yeah. Yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, DCAing is important if, that's your, strategy. I think that's kind of been what everybody's strategy has been, to be quite honest, because nobody really knew where the bottom was until like recently. It's like we could kind of have more of an educated guess because Bitcoin dumped out. But I think for most people, they've been just DCAing because like the macroeconomics have been just so out of whack recently. Like there's just so much happening in the world today. In Bitcoin today, it broke down below 20K again. So that is something I'm watching very closely. I got it pulled up actually on the live stream right now. And then I'm kind of comparing that to the OMI token as well. It hit up right off of 0.0016 area, and it's looking to kind of retrace a back downwards. And I've seen another somebody on Twitter. I don't have their information now, but they said they're using what's called harmonics patterns, which I'm kind of big into technical analysis.
You're gonna know better than me then.
Well, yeah, so I just wanted to curious what your thoughts were. But basically it forms like, I don't know if you're watching on a stream as well, but it forms what's called this bearish crab. So it's like it looks more like a butterfly. So usually when you see this pattern in like harmonics, you can get a real good indicator as where like price may go. So that's something to notate. I did notate in my last stream too that there's a lot of key areas of resistance here, a ceiling, if you will, and it did rebound right off of there, as I mentioned before as well. So it is something I'm paying attention to. I'm not saying OMI is going to go crashing, but we may see some kind of small pullback before we see another uptrend as well. So just something to keep in mind. It's something I've always mentioned on the stream to stay to pay very close attention to Bitcoin to see what's happening in the macro. But anyways, I was curious what your thoughts are there. So
I mean, at the end of the day, right? We all know red means discount day. It doesn't mean panic day, right? If the asset hasn't changed and the company's still the same and the fundamentals are the same, it's just trading with the market. And so red means discount day. It means time to buy. It doesn't mean time to panic sell. Generally, and that's usually people panic sell when they're overextended, so it's kind of.
yeah, no doubt. So like rewinding back in time a little bit, I do want to get you like your story here, like kind of what got you into VeVe, man? Like where were you at? Like what was happening? Where were you at in history and time? Like what was your initial thoughts of VeVe? I want to hear it all, man. I've never heard your story. I don't know if you've ever told it, but I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah. I don't think I ever like told it like in a video where it's easy to find, probably just in throughout live stream. So it's harder to, kind of spot. Yeah, I joined VeVe. I mean, according to the web app, it was like end of October. So it was basically November. I joined like a couple weeks before Golden Moments. So actually I only joined VeVe because of Andre Jick's video. I saw Andre Jick. I'd been following Andre Jick for years as a reputable source, in finance, really smart guy. And so I joined. I was like, okay, if he's in this, it's probably decent. I'm going to look into it. Started looking into it. I liked the project. If I, and I always shoot straight. Like I try not to like fluff anything. Honestly, I probably would have never have joined VeVe if it wasn't for him. I would have called it a scam. I looked at the app and I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, why won't this refresh? Like, I can't hit a drop. So I was kind of like, I actually went all on his reputation and I was like, okay, he's not going to recommend something that's bad. Then you see Disney's involved, right? Once you see Disney posting on their social medias, I'm like, okay, I want to be a part of what Disney is doing. I've been a huge Disney fan my whole life. So for me, like, I want to be a part of what Disney's doing. They have a lot of money to back what they're doing. I think there's potential. So yeah, I got in November. And I think the first time I decided to, I started just doing drops. I hit a mighty drop, right? I hit like Fastos, I hit a stamp drop. I think the only golden moment I hit was Iron Man. I hit Iron Man on the drop, and that was awesome. Like and I held that Iron Man for a long time. When I first dropped big money was when they dropped Star Wars. Massive Star Wars fan, as you see behind me. The day they dropped C-3PO and R2, I was on my way back from Disneyland, and I told my wife, I said, babe, I think I'm going to spend like $1,000 on these like pictures. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I end up buying R2 and C-3PO that day. And yeah, probably the best decisions I made, right? Made a ton of money on those pieces because they blew up insane. And then from there, I just started making I just got involved in the community, started making content. I was like, wow, I want to talk to someone about this. Like, started making content, saw people were interested, and then you just get in the market and you're like, this is an awesome app. And, if you're making money every day, like we were in December, January, we're like, you're pumped out of your mind. So it's been a fun ride, and I love it. I'm pretty heavy gems right now, just waiting for. I'm waiting for some great comics. I kind of want AF-15, or I want the first appearance of Thor here soon.
Does that mean you sold your your Jurassic Italy?
Oh yeah, dude. I've sold. I have one of those still.
Yeah.
I did sell one. And then a buddy of mine sold his to Dr. Profit. So dude, the Jurassic Italy is such an interesting club. All the other pieces seem to be tanking, but the T-Rex, I've only been able to confirm 15 mints on it right now. So it's just hard for something to tank when there's only 15 people holding it, and I know 4 or 5 of the holders. So it's kind of crazy. I actually made a good amount of money on that piece, and I still have one. It's kind of it's a really weird NFT. That's like really odd.
Yeah. I mean, that's how kind of collecting goes, right? Like you get like those weird niche collecting groups, and it just happens like that. Like with coins, there's misprints or like special little runs. Like I mean, with Pokemon, obviously you have like those special promo cards that are worth like tons and tons of money. So I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all. But I mean, it's cool. You see different subgroups in VV, and that's what I was bullish on from the get go is seeing cool dynamics like that play out. So I mean, shoot, if you're a Jurassic Park fan, why not collect them, right? If you're a big fan of that IP and that fandom, I
Yeah.
mean, who's to judge, right? Dan, we got Dan in the house, man.
What's up,
He
Dan?
said the oldest Avenger meets the young Avenger. I love it. I love it. Yes,
Call
yeah.
me New Avengers 1 and you're like a Grail comic that I'm like new, you know?
I'm like old. Yeah, I'm like season one or something. I don't know.
You were actually
Uh,
one of the first streamers to start. I heard it was you and a couple other guys, right?
yeah. So, I was like the original, like basically full time, like just content creator. I think. Other guys were making various other content for other projects before they just started doing like VV consistently. A couple early ones, Taps Trades was really early. He started a few weeks after. And there's another guy. Everything Currency did OMI token, so he's more on the OMI token side. He didn't really do any VV content, but he's still like one of the OGs too.
Yeah.
He did OMI stuff before I even did content. But there was one guy, I forget his name, Earth 2 Mastery, I think it was. He
Hmm.
he was doing some content too, and he fell off the map. But yeah, I was like one of the originals for sure. Um,
That's the thing with content, right? It's all about consistency. Anyone
yeah.
can pop up and do a few videos, but it's only consistency that drives your channel.
Yeah. I think it was like also like we all saw each other at the same time. It was kind of funny. It was like we did videos and like more and more people started popping up, of course, but like I think the first few guys just like kind of noticed like it's kind of like when you look across the room and you notice somebody's in the same room as you and you're like, "Oh, okay. All right, I see you." And so that's kind of how it started. It was more of that like fun connection and things like that. And Johnny Dunn, he started doing a couple of or just tweeting. I'm not sure when his first video was, but yeah, just it says Kyle Red Circle Wilson. Yo. But yeah, that's kind of how it began. I mean, there's always fun little stories with the beginning. Even Cavell, he wasn't too far out from. I think he was like a month later. It wasn't even that far. So Cavell's actually was really early as well. So
Oh yeah, I'm like Bronze Age. Started in November or
yeah,
something, you know.
Chris Coffey was early. He did a couple of videos in the beginning before he started going super hard, but he was still pretty early. Anyways, there's a handful of guys out there.
Yeah.
Um, Logan Paul got me into VV. Oh yeah, so I ran a poll just a minute ago. By the way,
I saw
we
it. Yeah, I voted.
yeah, it's like what a lot of people said yes. 70% of people said they think the VV market's going to go lower. Very interesting right there. That is that's a pretty good poll. I mean, it's only 25 votes, but I think I ran that one yesterday, the day before. Same sentiment there. Very interesting to see where people's heads are at. Now we're gonna end this poll as well about Andre, like what got people into Vivi, and some people voted Andre. We had some people vote word of mouth, and then 60% almost voted another YouTuber. So I should have put everything currency and then blockchain Andy. Those are another couple OGs. Like I said, those were the OMI guys before Vivi even really had like anything really out. But yeah, I got to meet Cavell one day. Oh, you got to, just says Justin. Yeah, Cavell's man, he's been slacking on his uploads lately. We got to get him back on. He finally uploaded today. So, staying alpha of Poor Man Printing. So Poor Man Printing was doing Doge videos, I think, and then he
Mm.
came later, much later, as still an OG in the community. I think he came a few months later. Staying alpha was like pretty dang near at the same time, but his video uploads weren't as consistent. Um yeah, thanks, local scalper, for the sub, man. Yeah, so with that being said, like in terms of, I guess like what you're doing in your personal life, have you always been a collector, like, or did Vivi make you a collector?
No, I mean I have not. Yeah, I think Vivi probably did. I think, everyone has random collections, but I wasn't like a big I actually started moving towards more minimalistic lifestyle, which you can't tell by my background. Like I'm not a minimalist like purely at all, but I definitely am a fan of less things in life. Just makes it like easier and like, simpler, easier to clean, practically. My background is purely for YouTube purposes. Obviously, all my Star Wars comics and my favorite movie, and those are actually lightsabers I bought to flip from Disneyland, so I still have them, but they
Yeah.
just haven't flipped yet. No, I was not a collector probably before. I've always been fascinated by personal finance, and so I actually started my YouTube talking about that, like talking about stocks, talking about savings. But there's just the space is so saturated. Like personal finance is like very like there's so many big YouTubers, and I just found a niche in VeVe that like actually like people were interested in. And then my channels evolved to like full degen mode sometimes, and whatever. We just because you build a following and
Yeah.
you just kind of just do random, you just stream, you have fun, you meet your stubs and you have a good time. But yeah, I'm actually really passionate about just personal finance in general. So like I'll tell people on my streams, like if you're 90% VeVe, like all your money, you are being very dumb. Like please have some savings, get some stocks, like buy a house.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And one of the original strategies too was just that was to, diversify outside of EV. If you're able to mint some of these, there's like this weird meta in OpenSea world, like macro NFTs, where some of these mints were free, and if you were able to get in and mint, you could make, I mean, a substantial amount. So, anyways, the point I was making there was like there's interesting projects that were popping off that were doing really well, and you could have took some of those profits and put those back into VV or vice versa. So I don't know. There's like a billion different strategies out there, but that was kind of one of those that I used personally to get put more money into VV or vice versa, or take it out or whatever I wanted to do with it. So agree with that for sure. Let's see. Justin says kill the FUD. John Morrill says egg gang. I'm assuming that's Dino right there.
Yeah,
I got in.
branding for my bald head.
Yeah, I love it, man. I got into BB because of staying alpha or to mastery. Yeah, yeah. Those guys are OGs. We staying alpha kind of just disappeared off the map. I see him on Twitter recently though. Do y'all see Jane Foster pass 3 gems for comment is still undervalued? Yeah. So, what's your thoughts on some of these comics that are kind of flying under the radar? Are you stacking comics right now? Like, what I know you said you're like obviously accumulating gems for another dip, or maybe that possible AF-15 drop, or Comic Con to see maybe what's out there. What's your thoughts on all that? Like, are you bullish on San Diego Comic Con drops? What are you waiting for in terms of your gem stacking, or what's your strategy?
I feel like, I mean, I buy and sell like every day, and so it just depends on like so I have different levels of the strategy, and it's not. I would not recommend everyone doing what I'm doing, So there's a few levels. I mean, the gem stacking is because I feel like those who have liquidity ready can make the best moves. If you have the liquidity, if you don't, then you can't seize opportunities. So I'm a fan of always having some level of liquidity. Um, I think that the way to make the most money in VeVe is actually on the current drop, generally, if it's a good drop. So, like, if you had a ton of gems around Vader and you had foresight, right, you would have made a lot of money because, people were dropping their URs for, a K for a while and they went all the way to 3, right? So, I'm kind of a fan of you can make money on the most current good drop. Now, can you make money on always the most current drop? No, but the most current good drop, you can. So I like having gems for those reasons. I do have pieces that I'm going to hold, and things that I think will have value long term. Like I said, I have a good amount of like A tier grail, sometimes B tier comics, like in the uncommon stacks. I do have a good amount of Marvel point 1 secret rares, but that's mostly because Sleeping Comics owns 150 of them. So I know there's a lot of supply that is locked. And he's very bullish on that comic. So I do own quite a few of those. I do have a few MCP sets, and I have my big play that panned out kind of and didn't pan out with T-Rex Italy posters. So that was fun.
Yeah, yeah. So when did you join, by the way? Like when did you get like onboarded with VV and kind of buy your first collectible, by the way?
First drop was, I can't remember if it was Fastos, like the Marvel Mighty drop, or if it was because I hit a Fastos. I actually hit 2 of those because that drop like glitched. I don't know if you remember, like in like I think I got delivered like multiple. It was like random. I was like, what is going on? Why do I have 3? Like
Those glitchy drops are always the best for me because I was like, we got to a point where, you know, there's the whole bot issue slash VV was blowing up also.
Yeah.
And so like I just didn't get very many drops. But the glitchy drops, man, I was landing those like crazy.
Yeah, no, so I landed a couple of those and I hit the Day of the Dead stamp. I can't remember which one dropped first, but those were like the first two drops. And I hit both of them. And I was kind of like, oh, I thought you didn't hit drops in this app. And I literally hit them both because everyone was telling me you're not going to hit. And then I hit two. And I was like, this is cool. You know, so you get that little drug, that little fix, you make money and you're like, oh, shoot, like this is fun.
Yeah.
And then it just took off from there. Right after I dropped like $1,500 and on Star Wars, I was like, all right, here we go. And then, and then I discovered discounted gems. And then I was like, all right, like we're off to the races. Here we go.
No doubt, no doubt. So what's your thoughts on MTL KYC? You like it right now, but like the process, don't like it, and have you cashed out any gems right now?
Yeah.
Or do you plan on cashing out gems rather? I should ask.
Yeah, I don't have KYC, so I haven't even been KYC'd yet. I haven't got the invite. And do I plan on cashing? I will cash out at least like 100 or 1,000 right away just to check. Like I want to know that the button works on my laptop at my house. You know what I mean? I just want to push it and I want to know it works. Do I plan on cashing out big? No, I don't right now because personally, I'm not a fan of buying gems one-to-one after I've been spoiled and bought gems at 50% off for, 8 months. I don't really want to have to buy gems at that again. I know I'll be able to cash out at any time if I want to. So I'd rather keep my gems in the ecosystem for the next big drop that I want to get, or the next big, maybe ultra rare Vader and Todd keep dipping. They're neck and neck at 2K. Maybe they keep going down to 1 and I can pick a couple up. So I personally want to keep my gems in the app right now, but I'm going to test the cash out for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts too. Is keep continuing to maybe stack some grails and things like that. Pick up stuff on discounts while they're still there. Um, yeah, I mean, cashing out right now for me is just like, why would I do that in the middle of a bear market? That's just silly.
I would have to
Now,
reallocate, right? Like I'd want to have to put it somewhere else. So
yeah. I mean, I could get people like maybe they're speculating on the three different crypto pairings, or maybe they just need the money for whatever life's, expenses. Like, I'm no one to judge there. But for me personally, my strat is like, I'm just going to keep everything in app because, I'm just going to be trying to accumulate what I can during this bear market in this time. You mentioned Todd and Vader. Is there any other collectibles you're kind of looking at, or what's your like, or are those just kind of the primary two? I know there's a lot of hype right now between those two, which is hilarious for me. I'm a fan of both. Actually, I don't even have. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I don't have a Vader, but I do have a Todd. I had two Todds, and then I flipped some money around. Got a couple other. I got a couple Supermans, Steamboat Willie, so I was able to like move that around for some other Grail pieces. But yeah, what's your thoughts on other Grails? Like, are you excited about anything else other than those two? Or
yeah, I mean, I I definitely almost pushed buy now the other day on a Todd at 1.8. I was watching. Um, for me, I this is the balance I'm in, right? Which is what we're all in, right? What is going to make me multiply my money the fastest, right? Now, Todd is like a different strategy. At 1.8K, I personally don't see him going below 1 ever. Maybe that's like his bottom. Maybe that's a totally bad guess. But I don't think he's going to go, into a 3-digit territory, 900, 800. I think he'll stay above 1K. So how fast can I multiply my money on Todd? Maybe not as fast as stacking a new drop, but Todd, there is a prestige to him, being the first, being what he is. He'll always have that going for him. So it's almost like it's like a diversification strategy with Todd. I don't feel like I'm going to make as much money on him, but I might feel like it's a different strategy. Ultra Rare Vader is like the pinnacle of Star Wars. I feel like it's not going to get better than Ultra Rare Vader. There's close ones, maybe like Ultra Rare, Secret Rare Boba Fett will get really close. Maybe
Django
Big
Fett,
Yoda. Yeah, see Boba Fett, right? He's huge.
Boba and Django, his dad. Yeah,
And maybe a Millennium Falcon will get really close. Right? There's some pieces in Star Wars, but Ultra Rare Vader is pretty much one of the top pieces you're gonna get. So it's kind of like a Todd in a different category. So for me now, Walt is kind of an anomaly that I'm always fascinated by. I've never owned. I would love to own one, But to me, I'm even nervous to put 7K in him, just knowing that the bigger you are, the harder you can fall. And I feel like some level of a rumor of utility is priced into him, like the hopium that he's going to get utility. Because if there was a Disney NFT that it would be Walt, right? It would be him. But I don't know if I want to pay for that guess, And so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm kind of leaning more towards comics now. I'm really enjoying them. I feel like they have an IRL market that's understandable, and I like that.
Yeah, totally. The more and more comic book collectors too we get into the app, the more insane, like the more normalized the comics are going to get as well, and the less opportunity long run we'll have to just, stack like we are now. I don't think there's going to be that like, unless you're very well to do, like in your stacking in the future. But in terms of long run, I just don't see like the average retail like trader or investor just like stacking comics like what we're seeing now. I don't think that's going to be the case in the future when more and more comic book collectors come into the app and they're like, oh my God. And they just have that aha moment where it's like, oh my God, like I need to be over here collecting everything I can. Like imagine like we have 100 comics and cryptos and 100 sleep in comics and 100 other comic collectors like that in the app. Multiply that, that's where I kind of foresee comics going, because they specifically collect comic books, and they know their history too, so that's something important for me. I have to literally look, I have to dig into every single cover that's dropping on the app, or covers that have already dropped on the app. I don't remember them by heart, so I have to go in there and really do my research. I was able to do research like on obviously the first Star Wars comic, because like I'm a Star Wars fan, so I know about certain collect comic books. But other than that, like yeah, it's I can't even imagine having all these other comic book collectors come to the app and just wipe everything out like in an instant. Um,
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, I guess the other thought is too on my I guess I am playing right now with this whole promo code scarcity strategy. I'm really enjoying it. Now, is it going to pan out? We shall see. On some of my promo code NFTs, I'm really well, on some of them I'm not. And it's the scarcity aspect is interesting, right? Because we see that, right? When things run up, typically people want to take their profit, or they've been wanting to sell for a while. And now when it runs up, they decide to sell. So because there's thousands of them, right? There's thousands of people that have to diamond hand it, right? It's more difficult. Whereas on pieces that I'm interested in, that I own a few, are like T-Rex Italy, ASM 130. There's very few pieces, so it's harder for it to dip. It's kind of an intriguing play. I've been enjoying it. I don't know how long I'm going to be in it or not, but it's fun.
Yeah, I really like that, and I'm rooting for that too, because I don't know, it's interesting to see different like little sections of the app that could possibly blow up. I mean, there's certain titles, we've seen it time and time again with certain covers. People get really excited about certain comics, or they're low editions or whatever. So people really try to argue that these are worth $100 to $200, $300,000, even though in real life it's not like that big of a deal. But I think it's cool either way. I know like we always get to like the community can be very judgmental, but for me personally, me looking at it at first, I kind of was too. I was like, wait a minute, but now I'm like taking a step back. Not about your promos, but like the comic book covers that I've seen. But yeah, I've taken a step back and like just macro analyzed it and been like, man, this is actually cool. Like, could you imagine the publicity of one of those things selling? Like, that's good for the entire app. And the same thing said about the promo strategy. It's like, when I watched your video, I watched the Jurassic Park, and I was like, dude, this is freaking lit. Like, this is what I'm talking about. This adds immense value to the promo NFTs and scarcity, like you were saying. So for if you won in that area, or somebody like got, a lot of those NFTs and were able to make a bunch of money, that would be good for the entire app. Like that's good publicity. I mean, at the end of the day, that
100%
drives
agree, man.
more attention back into the app, and everybody wins. So it's funny because the community can get so like caught up in everything. It's like,
Yeah.
hey man, like this is good for the app. Publicity is good. Like we want users to come into the app. And so at the end of the
100%.
day, so
100%. I mean, I'll never own a Secret Rare Spider-Man. I should say never, but I don't think I will. But when that guy was 100K, like that's a big deal. Like that's a huge deal for the app. If VeVe wins, we all win. I say that a lot. That's why I tell people, hey, if you're, like obviously off app gem buying is different now, right? It's restricted. You shouldn't do it, right? And that's up for debate whether people are going to get banned or not. But what I'm saying is, I tell people you should buy your gems on the web app. You know why? Because VeVe gets the full amount. If VeVe wins, we all win. If VeVe loses, we all lose. Like, we want them to succeed. So for me, why would I give those fees to the Apple Store when I can give them to VeVe and they can make the app better? They can make our collectibles better, all those things.
Absolutely. By the way, did you stack any of those lightsabers? By the way, I see. I mean, do you have a couple of those? Did you complete that set?
I did at one time. I don't right now, which is kind of, so it's so funny. That's kind of like my strategy all around. Like, I go through waves of like completing things and not. And then when I see myself in profit, I just take the profit. Like, I get tempted, like, especially when it's like quick. If it's too quick, I feel like to be sustainable, I especially do. But I do really like the lightsabers. You can go back on my channel, actually. I'm such a Star Wars fan that, like, we hadn't had a Star Wars drop, right, since C-3PO and R2-D2, right? We were all waiting. Like, you're a Star Wars fan. And so for me, when I saw the lightsabers, I was just pumped. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, these are going to be hundreds of dollars. This is amazing. And then I saw the sentiment of the community and I'm like, no.
Right. Yeah, yeah. And that's another thing too, is like when more Star Wars fans come into the app, I think it's gonna get a little crazy there. But I think too is we're in this weird like we're stuck in a macro in terms of like metaverse NFTs where it's at. It's kind of like stuck in mainstream right now. Like mainstream people know that Facebook's doing something. Obviously, like they renamed it. They're doing the Oculus and like all this stuff. They all they know really about NFTs at this point is like, oh, there's like these Bored Ape Yacht Club pictures and like
Yep.
they don't really like fully understand what's going on just yet. But I think when we hit that tipping point, when we hit another bull market, I think it's going to go like 10x, like from what we experienced this past year with the growth of VeVe and everything like that. So, long story short, like, yeah, I think Star Wars will do great long term. I don't know if you caught my last video as well. With Gary Vee, he was talking about Star Wars, and it was very interesting what he said. He was like, imagine if George Lucas dropped NFTs back in the 70s, if NFTs were like back then. Star Wars would never have sold to Disney, probably, right? They would have been a massive juggernaut because they would have all those royalties coming in. And then fast forward to today, like Gary Vee was just making a point of how important NFTs are to brands. And that's why companies obviously like Marvel and Disney have moved into the space. But yeah, he was just saying like how massively important it is to launch your brand as an NFT first before you even do anything else. Like before a book, before any kind of like physical thing, like basically making your IP into a NFT first. If you're like somebody trying to come up and do your own thing. So I thought that was interesting, man.
Check out the video. Is that because to generate funds, or is that to like be on the blockchain? Like what's his theory?
No, because it's just the pure tokenomics of royalties forever. Like it's in perpetuity. So Marvel in perpetuity with VeVe forever. You know, royalties forever. DC
Yeah.
royalties forever. And so
Yeah.
it's hard to argue against NFTs, like if you actually understand it, because these brands aren't just going to give up their royalties and be like, Gary was mentioning he made 250 million in secondary royalty fees. So on the secondary marketplace, not even, so he made 50 million on the drop, 250 million, and that's Gary Vee. Like we're talking about Disney and Marvel and DC and all these other brands, like they're going to look at these dollar signs and you can bet for a fact that they're going to be here long term. They're not going away. So people making arguments against VeVe, they'll have a rude awakening. And I think what do you think about the macro NFT space? Do you think there's going to be a realization of that one day? Do you think VeVe is just going to flip and just be like the number one like NFT app in marketplace? Because I just don't see. I mean, I see like Basie and all those other like projects that got popular doing well still. But do you think there's going to be a tipping point when people think about NFTs? They think about just VeVe and branded NFTs. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I have a couple thoughts on it. I mean, I think really micro right now, people understand NFTs as like bored apes. That's what people see. They see NFT, they think of, isn't that like a monkey? And the monkeys are not doing well right now because of the bad publicity on them, which, you know, whatever you think about that, true or not, I personally don't think it's true, but there's what it is. They're still $100,000. Now, NFTs as a whole, I think we hit our true stride when our car registration is an NFT, when our house deed is an NFT, because it just makes more sense. It's just easier. Like real estate documents, like if you bought a house, like it's so archaic. Like we could do this so much easier. Like the whole GameStop fiasco. Why the hell is it T+3 steal? It's 2022. Why does it take 3 days to settle these transactions? Like I can settle my USDT in 5 minutes, you know? So I think when the world shifts, NFTs will truly hit their stride because you are going to want to own your NFT. Now, right now, in the short to midterm, I don't see VeVe overtaking in OpenSea just because I feel like the main money in NFTs right now, until we hit our stride, right? The main money is in crypto, right? It's in ETH. And ETH people, they want their NFTs to be safe. They want them to be interoperable. They don't want them to be changed. They want them in their cold storage. So when VeVe starts doing that, that gets really bullish, right? You know, when someone with 100 ETH, 1,000 ETH can put their Darth Vader in their ledger, and like it doesn't have, I think that's really bullish, right? Because we need to be able to pay with ETH and we need to be able to store it cold storage. And I think that's a huge deal for us to hit that stride. If we get to that level, that's a huge deal, I think, to crypto buyers, to NFT buyers, and I'm still like a very big novice in the space. But I mean, I think about this. This is where I go to. This is like my long answer to the question because it's such an interesting thought, right? It is where we're at. What are we even buying right now? Like, are we buying PFPs? Are we buying homes in the metaverse? What are we buying? Like, I think we're all picturing like it's Ready Player One, but we're not there yet. And so I'm curious where the whole NFT space goes because I'm not sure. I understand Star Wars, and so as a Star Wars fan, I would collect a Vader just to collect him, and that's why I like Star Wars. But some things, like I'm not sure. I'm like, why am I buying this? Like I go to Walt. Like Walt, do people collect Walt's IRL? No, they don't collect Walt's. Okay, so does Walt need utility to truly be valuable? I don't know, right? So these are kind of like all my thoughts, right? I don't have the right answer, like none of us do, but it's a great discussion of like what is the NFT space going to do?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, totally. Now, yeah, one thing I'll say, I don't know if VeVe will have more volume than OpenSea because there's just already too much market penetration there. But in terms of like what people think when they think of NFTs, do they think
Mm,
of OpenSea? Most people don't know what OpenSea really is or how to use it,
yeah.
but people will probably, know how to use VeVe, for instance, because it's so you
Yep.
just download an app and my grandma can buy an NFT. Rest in peace,
Yep.
grandma. But I still have one left. All right. But anyways,
We love
yeah,
Kyle's grandma. Spam it in the comments.
hopefully she's not watching, but no. So in
No,
terms of that, there's a lot of micro, macro analysis there. I think that's really interesting topic there. Personally, I think as soon as Facebook and these major social media apps, the Web twos, I guess the gatekeepers of Web 2, if you will, they all are integrating NFTs. I think once they enable those features and where we're able to display like our collectibles or whatever, I think that's when it really starts to go and take hold.
mm,
A lot of people at first, what always happens is you see people FUD it naturally. I'm seeing this in the gaming world, by the way. People are FUDing it. Then they start to question it. They still have doubt, and then they adopt it. So it's like this three-phase system, and I think that's going to happen too when Web twos fully integrate NFTs. We're able to display on like Facebook, Meta, and all these other platforms. I think we'll notice a shift there. But it's one of those things too, though. It's like, what if Tom Holland buys a secret rare Spider-Man? What's that going to do to the NFT space? Like everybody knows Tom Holland. Like,
yeah.
in my opinion, that's bigger than Justin Bieber buying a Bored Ape. Or
Yep.
I guess he got it free in this case, but um, he,
Did Justin Bieber get it for free? I heard he paid 1.2 mil.
I don't know. I watched that documentary, like you said, that controversial thing was like supposedly MoonPay just gave them to him for free, which I think that's true. I think they did get it for free. Yeah, like with that guy, that famous jeweler, I actually know that guy before that documentary. He's pretty credible. He like does all the jewelry and is like a jeweler to like all these celebrities or whatever. I don't know. Like I could definitely, I've heard a lot of MoonPay stuff before that video even dropped of stuff like that. So
Mm.
I think that part of the documentary, I think that's legit. I don't know about Justin Bieber. I can't say,
Yeah.
can't speak to that. All speculation, by the way, people. None of this is financial advice.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is
No.
entertainment only. You know what I mean?
I mean, but
Um,
we all know, right? The best lies always have hints of truth, right? That's
yeah,
how the lies are the best because and I'm not trying to it's just how it is, right? Think about your life. The best lie always has a little bit of truth because then it's slightly believable.
right. So yeah, let's see here. Let's catch up on the comments real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, let's see. What's the exact address? Web. Not really sure what you mean there. Get ready for Virtua's Metaverse. Looks absolutely. Yeah, Amorse. I'm actually curious. I've been following Virtua for a long time. We have people in the community from over there in Virtua. They actually have a really good like showroom slash metaverse.
Mm.
So have you seen that, Dino? Or
No, I have not been in Virtua.
okay, yeah. So it's similar to Vivi. You know, they don't have, I guess, as powerful brand and IP, but what they do have is it looks like a solid tech stack where
Yeah.
people can actually go and hang out like social. So I know people are using like spatial.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see where everything goes like before the VeVeVerse. But transitioning into VeVeVerse, like how long do you think it's going to take, or what's your thoughts on that? Like, what when they roll it out, where do you see like what do you see it looking like, if you will, if
Yeah.
that makes sense?
I think it will just be interoperable showrooms at first, right? I think that will be, I think most people will be let down by that, but I think that's a big deal. Like just the ability to like, I can go over to Kyle Wilson's showroom, you know what I mean? And like spatial, right? I think it will be maybe that level. I don't know if it's going to be like, we're all like in this world and like we go onto the street and we drive to downtown and, like, I don't think we're going to be there for years. I think we probably will see it on the timeline they're projecting, maybe a little bit longer but interoperable type showrooms, kind of like how spatial is, right? I send you a link, you hop in, you're in my showroom, we're hanging out, chatting, we can look at each other's NFTs, right? I think that's definitely doable, like in the short to midterm. Someone that's not even a developer, I think, look, spatial is doing it, right? I think it's going to look probably like that. Now, long term, metaverse, I mean, play like, I mean, the pandemic changed everything, right? It's like before I can't tell you how many people I've met online. And look at me and you, right? We never would
Hmm.
have met if it wasn't for NFTs, for VV, through the meta, right? And it is the beginning levels of the metaverse, right? Like we're getting there. We're reaching this place of where our world is becoming more online than in person. So I think we're on the trajectory. I mean, especially the fact, like you said, big money is involved. Whenever big money's involved, it's usually not going anywhere because big money is going to make money. If Facebook is investing billions, they're going to make money on this, So I think we're definitely going there. VeVeVerse, I think we'll definitely get it. I think it'll just be simple at first. So I kind of have low expectations, but I'm looking forward to it. But I do have lower expectations. It's not going to be like a world. I don't think we're playing, Marvel Mighty video games. And, like, I don't think that's happening yet.
Yeah, so I see projects like integrate into like Sandbox, for instance. I could see Vivi easily just doing that. It's like, yeah, like let's just integrate into a spatial. Like it makes
Yeah.
sense. Um, so I don't know, man. Like I originally was like, super low standards for the first iteration of VeVeVerse.
Yeah.
But the more and more I see like other projects do other stuff like spatial and how fast they were to like get something up and going, the more I'm like, either they could just integrate with spatial, or maybe they are secretly developing like something insane. We just don't know. Like I said again, I was at first kind of just like it's just going to be like a better showroom, and we might have these like goofy like avatars that look like stick figures, and we're like, hey, look at my collectible. And I do see like a base level social aspect to that if they, once they do the first iteration. But again, I don't know, because David Yu's so picky, and Dan Crowther's it maybe not so much, but I don't know. Like David Yu just seems like I don't know he would release anything without it being like at least functionable and able to use at least a basic level. So
Mhm.
I'm kind of flipping to like super, conservative on my first iteration to maybe bumping it up just a little notch to maybe it
Yeah.
is going to be a slightly little bit better, just based on like last year they're talking about like releasing it already. It hasn't released, but maybe now this lets me know like maybe they are actually like building it up even more so than what we actually think. I don't know. It's just like a whole different discussion there. But where are you at with augmented reality? Do you think these other big brands like Niantic and other huge companies like are going to go like full on AR NFTs as well? Like, what's your thoughts on that? Apple Glass. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
I don't know if I have enough thoughts on that, probably, especially Apple. I mean, I will say this, if Niantic, man, if those were NFTs from day one, could you imagine like the Pokemon Go craze that happened when it first came out? Like, I mean, I got swept up into it. I wasn't even a Pokemon guy, right? And I'm like out in the middle of my downtown at freaking 1 a.m. catching Pokemon because I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, it just,
Yeah.
imagine if those were NFTs, right? I think we all want to know where Pokemon's going to go and like what they're going to do because of the brand. And the Niantic is great. Their AR is great and what they're doing. I mean, I personally I feel like I am more of a fan of VR than AR. And I know I don't like the VR that we have now, but I just know that like I feel like when I'm here, like when I'm in my world, I want to be here. You know what I mean? Like I want to go to a bar and I want to go to a dinner and I want to eat with my friends, and I don't want to be in AR, like personally. But when I'm in VR, like I want to be there. Like I want it to be fake. Like I want the Pokemon there and I want the what I'm trying to, that's kind of like just me. Like sometimes I want to be in metaverse land and sometimes I want to be here. Like I want to be on the beach and I want to feel the wind and I don't want to be in that world. So I don't know if I'm the biggest bull on AR. I do like the picture aspect of VeVe's AR. Like I think that's really great because honestly I think it's really great for children because people will buy NFTs just to take pictures with their kids. Um, but that's kind of my personal opinion. Like when I go to VR, when I go to Twitter, like low levels, right? Spatial, even Twitter Spaces is like a very low level of just connecting online, right, with people. I think you want to be there. So for me, it's almost like a separate thing.
Yeah, yeah. So in terms, like I'm a fan of both. I think AR. I'm excited for AR just to see where it goes. I think that's going to push more people into VR. I think mixed reality is where it's at though, because then you have the best of
Mm,
both worlds.
yeah.
Because at first I wasn't as bullish on the AR, but I started seeing more and more use cases. Like you could put your glasses on and like look at a desk and like play a board game with your friend that's not even
Mm,
there. So there's cool little stuff like that. Or
yeah.
like at Pokemon Go is another good one. Just like walking out in the field, like you have glasses on, and it's like you can fight somebody like in Yu-Gi-Oh world or whatever. Like
Mm,
I don't know. That's cool. I know they have that in VR. Somebody actually made that on VR chat. I think actually I saw like somebody make a Yu-Gi-Oh like knockoff game in there, and it looked really
oh,
cool. I was like, that's legit. So yeah, like you said, that's a good point you bring up. Is like when you are in VR, you just want to be there. I think VV is going to do both. To be honest, like I think the VeVeVerse. You'll have the option maybe to do both. I know originally they were like talking about it just being AR, but I don't know, the more you think about it, the more it makes sense to almost have like either like a VR or you can just download it on your computer. But I'm not really sure. Maybe there's an application on your phone where it's an augmented reality. Who knows? But
yeah.
I don't
I
know.
think
Mixed.
the great thing about VeVe, well, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh no, no, go ahead, go ahead.
I mean, the greatest thing about VeVe is the fam, right? It's the community because I mean, you even look at some of the biggest NFT projects ever, right? Do Bored Apes have Twitter Spaces going 24/7? No. Do Bored Apes, I'm just referencing them. Go to any other project. Do they have like as many content creators as VeVe does that are like die hard? And so I go to the fam, right? And I realize that it's like this project has a load of dedicated followers, like a load of them. And I go to my local Walmart right down the street, and the shelves are always stocked. VeVe shelves are almost never stocked. Like there's almost nothing. Like it's only just recently there's a couple things. Like it's like if I went to that Walmart and they only had like one roll of toilet paper and a half a gallon of milk, I would go to a different Walmart, and like So for me, the most bullish thing is the fam. The fact that VeVe could almost do anything and it would succeed, that's huge. Like that's pretty crazy. Like in a business, like
Yeah, it's like some people were on Twitter posting memes like if VeVe sold toilet paper NFTs, they would sell out immediately or something like that. So it is quite funny, and like you said, the kind of the I guess metric alpha, if you will, is like you said, the Twitter Spaces are going on 24/7. Like OpenSea, when they put on a Twitter Space, they can't pull in like over a K. Like a VeVe Twitter Space, like official VeVe Twitter Space, pulls in like 2K. It just and they just do it. It's almost like they barely do spaces, but yeah, it's like far greater than OpenSea. So it's like, man, there's a hardcore dedicated following for sure. So somebody says they're late to the party, gonna watch a replay. Heck yeah, let's go. Kind of like the virtual keyboard they have now. I'm not really sure what that means there. A Morris, man, yeah, OG, man. He's been a day one homie in the community. He was the first person to actually like really try to onboard me with other platforms like Virtua, for instance. Way back, he was giving me like all the alpha, so it was really cool. And other platforms as well. Like there's other like sport apps with sport collectibles and NFTs. Always been a big homie, man. Appreciate you for being in the chat today. Kind of like the Virtua keyboard. Yeah, I don't. Oh yeah, I just read that one. I'm not really sure if I follow on that. This is AR. I don't want a neck ache and a chin ache from tripping over the couch. Yeah,
nice.
that. Yeah, like that. I guess you'd have to stay seated, which almost is kind of weird. But I have seen glasses that are AR. I don't know if you saw the in real glasses. They have like those micro LED OLED lenses. And you can watch TV while you're just chilling on your couch, and they have like blackout.
Awesome.
Yeah, they have like blackout screens that you go over your glasses, and it essentially just turns into a VR headset at that point, though.
Because you can be like full relax mode, like watching TV straight. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah. Drop in the chat if you have any questions for Dino. By the way, I'm curious too, Dino. Like, what are your other strategies? Are you excited about what's your top grails? We'll do that one right there. That's always a big one. I always like to ask everybody on the show. We'll say top 3 grails.
Okay. Do you want me to do collectibles, comics together, or things like
yeah? We'll just do all combined together.
Okay, and something that's already here, right? Not coming.
Mm-hmm.
Top 3 grails. Oh man, I mean. The funny thing is I don't own them because I'm waiting. But I feel like the top 3 are probably, oh, that's difficult. For me, like collectibles, it's like, I mean, it is Todd. I'm interested in Todd, Vader, and Walt. Those are the 3 that I'm interested in. Now, if I have to combine them with comics, to me, I mean, you can't ignore MC1 because of price, but to me, I don't know return like it's difficult, man. It's hard for me to put comics in the same with collectibles just because I feel like I'm a little priced out of some of the grails in comics just because of the return that I'm gonna get. But obviously if you want the top comics, right, it's MC1 and FF1 and ASM1 secret rares, right? But personally I feel like I could still acquire a Todd, an Ultra Rare Vader, and a Walt, and I think they're good.
Yeah. What about future collectibles? Like, what are your speculations kind of around the KYC payout? Like if they go global with it, they just release all of it. Do you think they're going to have like this IP kind of lined up right, like ready to go right after? And if so, like what IP do you think?
Oh man, that's difficult. I mean, I can tell you this. I mean, and not just as a Star Wars fan, because I'm not like a blind fan. I don't own a lot of Star Wars collectibles anymore because I took profit. There are so many grails that will come from Star Wars and we know we have that IP. And so, as patient as we are, if you just wait for the good Star Wars drops, you will do well in this app. Like, and that's just something that's guaranteed. Like that is guaranteed to happen. Another guaranteed to happen, right? Marvel comic books, right? We are going to get Amazing Fantasy 15. And that is arguably one of the most expensive comic books in the world, right? And we're going to get it. And if you hit that SR on the drop, which will be very difficult, but you are going to make
overnight.
You're going to make at least, I mean, I've heard 5 grand, I've heard 30 grand.
Oh,
Long term, who knows?
oh, a secret rare cover? Oh, especially a low mint? Forget about it. That's one of the. That's going to be what by far the. Well, Sleeping's in the chat, by the way. Is that going to be the number one? Like, there's a couple of grails: Gem 83, AF 15,
Yeah.
MC. What's the top grail? Do you think there? Like out of those three, just I mean,
For me, it'd be ASM. I mean, it'd be AF-15. I think
mm,
Spider trumps. It's Spider-Man. Like it, MC1 is such. From my chats with comic book collectors, MC1 is something that's not even in their brain because it's not like it's a big FA. It's just such an anomaly of a comic book.
mm,
Um, and now AF-15 is the first appearance of Spider-Man, the biggest superhero in the world. Like, and it is arguably the top comic in the world. And so we're going to get it. Like
yeah.
we're and who knows when, but we're going to get it. So, now speculative, if you want to go full
See,
speculation mode,
just
like
to.
what do I
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
no,
Sorry,
no.
sorry. No, speculation mode. I want to hear it. You said speculation. I was like, oh, my ears perked up.
Yeah, speculation mode. I think some great pieces. Anything DBZ, right? Anything Dragon Ball Z would crush. Like, anime fans, weebs are insane. My wife is a massive weeb. One of my best friends is a massive weeb. Like, I know that when they drop anime, he's very casual on VeVe, very casual. But I know he'll drop thousands as soon as DBZ comes, right? As soon as something like that
So it's
comes.
such a hardcore following, man. Like all over again, just insane. And like to that, to that point is like when I'm an NFT or if I own a brand or IP and I'm looking at all these like platforms, like guess who's got the most dedicated following already? And it's like, why would you not drop on VeVe? Like, I think, did you see Chris Brown try to drop an NFT? It was like a complete failure because
Did it really?
I don't even know where he dropped it. I think he tried to drop it himself. I don't know what platform it was on. Chevy tried to do the same thing with their like Corvette. They dropped it on like Super Rare or something.
Yeah.
They literally had 0 bids the first time around, and they had to do the whole like auction, and it still didn't. It still failed. There's only like 8 bids. It didn't hit the reserve minimum, but I'm like, if I'm a company, I'm like, you can't just stick your toe into NFTs. Like, you have to truly understand your audience. You have to truly understand the NFT space and what it's really about. And it's cool to see VeVe, like, and with obviously the leadership, David Yu. Things have taken a while, but I think they delivered on everything at least they said. Timelines have not been perfect by any means, but in the beginning when I got into VeVe, I expected them to actually take years to actually put out what they were going to put out. Just from being in the crypto space like for a long time. Like you're talking about Cardano. When I first got into Cardano, it was like a penny or less. Like, and they're still like they're just now kind of getting around to doing things, and it's been 4 years. So it's like,
Yeah. I mean,
man,
I'll comment on the timelines, right? I'm the biggest critic of VeVe's timelines. Like if you watch my videos, I will critique them. But I'll say something else, and I don't mind sharing positive and negative. No matter what happens with VeVe, I come back to the fam, right? And you said it yourself. They're still selling out drops, and we're all still here, right? If you look at other projects, right? And it's because of the IP. The IP in VeVe is commanding. It has commanded this audience. It will keep commanding it, and it will not change, right? If you go to Hero, I love Hero. Hero's great. It's fun. They have one IP, and it's not commanding. You can see by the price action. You can see by the sentiment of the community, right? It doesn't matter that their web app is significantly better than VeVe. What matters is the IP is not there and the fam is not there, right? VeVe can fix the web app in time. VeVe
right?
bring these things in time. You cannot fix branding, and VeVe's branding and fam is insane. Like we're still here. We're through all of this, and it's only going to get better. Like
Yeah.
now that so for me, that speaks volumes. Like that's huge, right?
Mhm.
Because Hero cannot just magically acquire all this IP, right? Whatever. I don't know what Virtua has. I don't know what Virtua is dropping, right? But they can't just magically get Disney, right? I mean, I don't know. So
No, yeah, I totally agree. I think PV2 has like that first mover's advantage as well. It's like it's so important to be a pioneer. It's so important to break through the noise first before everybody else. Because you look at even like Recur and other platforms, it's almost like you said, the fam's not there. It's like, I don't really know. Like you don't see
yeah,
24-hour Recur spaces by any means. Like I have a Recur pass myself, so it's not like
yeah,
I'm not dogging on them or anything.
yeah,
Like, give me a SpongeBob, all right? Like, I'm here for it, no big deal. But yeah, like you have a point. Like the fam's not there. You don't have a hardcore dedicated fan base. Even leadership is like, we love David Yu, man. Like every time that guy talks, he's so relatable.
Yeah.
You can just feel the excitement coming out of him. And like, I don't know. It's just there's some kind of dynamic there. I think as well. We can all relate and share that excitement with David Yu, who's also excited about his own collectibles he's dropping on the app. So
Yep.
it's just you don't really get that with other projects and other platforms. It's like you don't see the leader out there like being all giddy. They share excitement, but it's just like for them it's just a business transaction. But for David Yu, it's like that deeper connection, if you will. So
Yeah, dude. And to give you what you wanted, full speculation mode. I mean, there will be some future grails that we could get that could outpace everything we have on the app, right? I mean, like if you get a secret rare Charizard, after what Charizard has done, after what that card has done, like whether it's a card or a collectible, if you get a secret rare Goku, right? If you get, you start going, you go Vegeta, right? I know people are like, you go, there's so many things that could happen that are just like,
that brings over all the open sea people that have been talking all this crap the whole time. That's going to bring them running to VeVe. And then I don't know if we'll hear FUD from them ever again if we do drop all those things you just mentioned. That's just my opinion. I saw one guy. I actually followed him like super early on. His name's Angel. He does like Nifty News or something like that.
okay,
Great YouTuber. I watch him all the time. He was just a little YouTube channel back then. It wasn't even a year ago. He blew up because the NFT space blew up.
mm,
Anyways, he tweeted and was like, "Where's the V?" Like it was like a couple weeks ago. It wasn't that long ago. He tweeted and was like, "I don't hear anybody talking about VeVe. What happened to all the VeVe people that were trying to shill VeVe?" And like his comments, no, like just blew up. He got ratioed in like less than an hour.
no.
And he tweeted out and like apologized. He's like, "Hey, I'm not trying to dog on the," it's just so funny to see. And I was like, I actually I was trying to get a hold of him previously, so I messaged him. I was like, "Hey man, you poked the VV bear in the bear market. That's like a big no. Like, don't poke the VV bear in the bear market. Like,
Yeah, none of
bad."
us like to poke the bear of VV. The fam already needs to settle a little bit. I'm actually surprised he wasn't getting shilled every tweet, and then he asked for it. So that was your
Mm,
own fault.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So next topic I want to talk about is gaming. Like, what do you see like VV doing in terms of games, Web3? We know they partnered with, Epico Regal. What do you see happening? Maybe even an improvement on that? Do you think there's going to be utility with some of our NFTs in some of these games? I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah. I mean, I I can hope for the best, but I don't know what to expect with gaming with VV. Do I hope they do it? Yes, because there is so much money in gaming. And it comes back to my last point and the point we keep making, right? They could do anything and it would succeed. Pretty much like, and Epico Regal is not necessarily the best game if you play it, you look at it, it's rough around the edges. And so much of the VV fam got involved because of the fact that VV endorsed it, right? And so they could do so much. I think that the window of our possibilities is opening a ton with cash out, right? Cash out
Mhm.
is here. People cannot say VV is a rug anymore, right? When you can take your money out, it is not a rug, right? And so I think you're opening ourselves to Disney's possibilities of marketing. We're opening ourselves to these things that could be huge. Why are they dropping all these mighties as FAs? Are they going to be a game? I don't know. They were a game. It would be great. It is pure speculation. If you are stacking them on that hope, I would be careful. But if you have a few because you want to play the game, that's great. I really hope they do. I think it's a big part of, the NFT. I think it's the future. Gaming is huge, right? I mean, you start going into, I mean, when I think of NFT gaming though, and I know you're a big fan of, I think of Illuvium, right? I mean, Illuvium looks beautiful, like absolutely amazing. To me, gaming is all about how incredible the game is and like how beautiful it is. Like games are so high tech now. Like I don't really want like a little like, stick figure game. Like if I'm going to play a video game, I want it to be legit.
Mhm.
So that's kind of where I'm at. Like, unless I'm like making money somehow on it, I don't know if I see myself really playing the games because I want to play a legit game. Like, I want it to look good.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so like with the Luvium AAA, game, obviously like super insane quality graphics. The only thing there is it takes so long the development time.
Yeah.
They've even pushed back their timelines quite a bit as well, but and a tremendous amount of money it takes to develop that. But still super bullish on it. So AAA games, obviously incredible. I'm super bullish on that in the NFT space. One thing that I've kind of realized is mobile games make up 70% of all game revenue. Game revenue has surpassed movies and what was it? Movies and music combined, and it's the number one entertainment sector or vertical in the sector. So
I
it's
didn't
going to
know
continue.
70%. Wow.
Yeah, 70% is mobile games out of all gaming, which makes me super bullish because I was like, at first I was like, oh, it's got to be AAA. I'm like, shoot, it just has to be a really good mobile game, and you
That's
capture
a great point, dude.
that's 70%. I'm like, I don't even care as an investor. I'm just like, I'll play the AAA game still, but if there's a way for me to invest into like the OMI token ecosystem and benefit from like mobile games, I'm all for it. So
Yeah.
that made me kind of rethink my situation here and like how I invest moving forward. And I was
That's
able
a
to
great
talk.
thought. I didn't know 70%. That's insane.
It's I didn't know that either until recently. I was researching deep into games, looking up analytics, and I stumbled across that, and I was like, "Holy crap!" And I covered that in a
Want to hear
previous
an
video.
anecdote that supports that thought? I have a family member, and I won't say who it is because they sometimes watch my videos, and they're an older family member. They're in their 50s, and they have dropped thousands of dollars on a mobile game. And you know why? Is because who has money? Older people. They just have more established wealth. And he plays this mobile game religiously, has dropped thousands of dollars on it. So just an anecdote from my own life that proves your point, which I should have it's like there's just money there. And they're
Yeah,
not going to get their Xbox out and like go grind on COD, right? They're so
that and it's like when you're married and you have a job, it's like if you're traveling, you can play it on your mobile device, or if you're sitting next to your wife, maybe she wants to watch her show, whatever. I'm on a game, like I'm on my mobile phone. Not everybody has an expensive like super computer to like play these AAA titles at the end of the day, but like everybody has a phone. Like even people in other countries that maybe they're not as well to do as the United States, they still have mobile phones and they can still game like. So, and we look at even VV fan like Cavell, man, he's got a big mobile gaming channel. Like, he's got a pretty massive gaming channel just on a mobile game, and it does make up a significant market. Like, so, anyways, all that being said, like, I think VV's gonna go more in this direction before they think about like let's integrate with some crazy. I mean, maybe they will because I'm like they have Marvel and Disney, so maybe they do. I don't know, but I think they just continue to roll out mobile in the mobile sector, and I think like that just makes sense as
it's
well.
genius, man. Marvel Mighties. I guess stack them now, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I don't see. So see, Mark Time says I don't see how the CPI is going to be good. Yeah, have you been tracking Dino on the CPI and like inflation and all that crazy stuff going on in the macro or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm aware. I mean, the majority of my money is in like other assets besides VeVe. I love VeVe. I have a good amount, but I have stocks that I'm just holding long term, DCAing long term, down. Yeah, inflation's terrible. I mean, like, what would be 8, 9% right now? Like, it's bad. And gas is like I'm in California, right? Gas is $6 to $7 a gallon. Like it's
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 crazy.
it's a lot. And so and NFTs definitely fall down on the the strategy, the importance, but um I think everything is in seasons, right? Bear markets are seasons, right? Usually those who acquire during a bear market do better. Now, I will state a big caveat that I don't mind saying all the time. NFTs are the newest asset class, and they have not been time tested, proven that if you acquire in a bear market, you will pay off long term. But generally, acquiring in a bear market pays off. So,
Right.
I say be careful. But that's kind of my strategy. Is I'm careful with my allocation amount, but I'm still going to play the same strategy, right, of acquiring in a
Yeah.
bear market.
Yeah, well, it happens every time too. It's like in a bull market, you're always like, shoot, I should have bought more in the bear. Like, what was I thinking? And then in the bull market, people that don't take profits are like, oh, I should have took all of the and it's like, just don't make those mistakes. Like, how about that? Like, just maybe do your due, like, I don't know. Everybody has different strategies, but that's what I tell myself to like have more confidence in investing in a bear market is like,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, come the bull market, the next bull market, I'll be like, not only did VV like go up, but it like probably going to go way, way up, but beyond what we actually thought was possible. And so, and at that point, I'll be like, oh man, I should have invested more or should have got more OMI, man. And it's like, I just don't want to be stuck in. Yeah, yeah. So I'm even considering like I have a couple of extra Todd statues. Maybe I sell like one of those, or I don't know. I'm just trying to like I'm not like a Ray Fixie or a Dr. Profit, so I don't have like unlimited. Like I'm a dad too, so like I'm like trying to figure out ways to get creative and kind of invest more and more as I go. So
No, dude, it makes sense. I mean, it's the greed and fear, right? The greed and fear index. In the bull market, the greed takes over and you got to fight it. In the bear market, the fear takes over. So
absolutely. Well, man, I had you on the stream for over a little bit over an hour. I know we've been going on for a while, and I'm sure you got to do dad and husband things. So I don't want to keep you on too long. But man, I appreciate you coming onto the stream. We'll have to do it again, maybe on your channel next time. And it was a pleasure to have you. Where can people find you?
yeah. Find me on all platforms, Dino Laing. So Dino Laing. Kind of an odd spelling, but all platforms: YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, VeVe, all of the above. Dino Laing, man. And appreciate, dude. It's been a fun chat and hanging out and getting to know each other. It's been a blast, dude.
Absolutely, man. So with that being said, I guess we'll close it out. And I also linked his YouTube channel in the description below if you want to check that out. And as always, we'll see you in the next stream and in the next interview and in the next video. Be like an NFT. Do you want to finish it out?
Oh, shoot. No, you do it. I don't want to take you.
Nobody wants to always finish it out. I'm waiting for that one person though to all right. Be like an NFT, be authentic, and we'll catch y'all later. Peace.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's do it.